Hey, glad to be with you. We got some news tonight, and so I've always got an opinion. I can give you an opinion on whether the egg or the chicken came first. And I can say I got a 50-50 percent chance of it being correct. By the way, a thumbnail I got up here, that's a picture of me some years ago checking my guns. And they weren't real, they were lookalikes. That's what I use when I entertain. I don't want uh, possibly someone lifted out my holster and then my gun be a real gun being part of someone losing their life at a 7-Eleven or store. But they look very real. But Tombstone had a law, no guns into the saloons, period. It could be a real gun or just a squirt gun in my case. But it gave me a good chance to get a picture of being like in the old days, turning my guns in. I'm not sure if that's changed with the new laws that the Supreme Court says we have a right to carry arms. Me personally, I don't think people going with loaded guns in a bar drinking alcohol is really a great thing to do. So let's get to some news. President Trump issued another threat. When I'm reading the news, this is not, I don't think, really a threat. And he calls source-back animals Alvin Bragg to drop the Stormy Daniel case. That's probably what's going to happen. The grand jury is canceled for the week. I think he's getting a lot of pushback from the Democrats. Um, Even the Senator Schumer would not show any confidence in this guy. Um, I wouldn't call the man an animal. He's a low information person, a flat tire. And if I needed legal counseling, his name would be at the bottom of the list. And again, it looks like they can't go nowhere with it. I just found out tonight, listening to I think Riley, President Grant was the first one to basically get arrested in D.C. He was speeding with his carriage. He was a good horseman, and he ended up getting a $20 fine. I guess that would be about $200 fine nowadays. You don't think about speed limits for horses and animals. In fact, when I was in D.C., the average speed limit was 25 miles an hour. And so I think the brakes is going to come on this indictment because the Democrats don't want this idiot to give the White House to President Trump, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, the man has been investigated every way for everything. I mean, um, I'm surprised they haven't blamed the tornado in California on President Trump. Anyway, House Republicans voted overwhelmingly to pass the educational bill aimed at protecting parents' rights. On Friday, they voted for that. Now, of course, it's got to go to the Senate, and that's where a lot of the Looney Tunes are at. And they don't want to give the Republicans anything, but parents are fed up. And that's very insulting. Your parents don't have a right to know what the children are being taught, have anything to say, because someone is a so-called expert. Well, look, I've had 3 or 4 licenses, got a guide license in Washington, D.C. Well, I passed the test and everything, but it took quite a few years to learn the skills to be able to call yourself a professional, whether it's enunciation, knowing how to keep a people's attention, knowing how to stand up and make someone shut up, usually just looking at them. I got a bus driver's license. Well, yeah, I passed the test, but it took quite a few years on that to learn how to read traffic and know see an accident far enough in advance to apply the necessary preventive action. Got a pilot's license, but it takes practice. Just because you got a teacher's license, don't mean that you know more than the parents know. The parents have the right to at least insist that the first priority of educating our children, I'm going to repeat, the first priority of educating our children is reading, writing, arithmetic, history, not rewritten history, honest to goodness history, civics, geography, political science, and all these other things, race theories, and whether you're happy about being a boy or happy about being a girl. Those should be at the end of the school day with both the parents and the children being able to opt out of a class that may tarnish their life. Now, Ukrainian officials said yesterday that they believe that the Russian forces have lost momentum in the contested city of Barak. I can't say it. And it says Ukraine may mount a counteroffensive along the eastern battlefront. Well, when you take somebody's home from them, they will fight tooth and nail. Their wives, their girlfriend, their children will fight. I mean, look, Russia's a good example. Never been conquered. Germany went in there and they fought and threw a very massive army out. And this is not a territorial dispute. It's an invasion, nothing else. And also, China's watching us. And if Russia pulls this off, then you can figure China will probably go into Taiwan. I happen to think the people, both sides of the China and Taiwan will fight tooth and nail to the last man. If all they can get is beer bottles to defend their country, that's what they will do. Joe Biden will respond to forceful to the Iranian aggression. They're talking about they're using drones to kill American people. Well, I think that's a great idea, but Mr. President, forceful response is not making threats and doing nothing about them like your boss, President Obama, did. And it requires being a little more assertive than just sticking your tongue out at them. The only thing that a bully, and that's what they are, understands is force. As long as your blood is shedding, he'll want to negotiate. If it's his blood that's being shedded, then he'll negotiate sincerely, expeditiously, right away. But these people, they don't care whose lives they take. And, let's not talk more about that. Now, Alabama trucker used his skills as a trained fire responder to help victims in a violent collision in Georgia earlier this year and has been honored for his efforts. He was a Maverick driver. You see Maverick gas stations. And why don't you give Maverick a call or email him and ask them to put this guy's name up on their website? That's really nice. And I'm not saying this because I'm a retired truck driver. Truck drivers have always been excellent in helping people signal when they can pass and things like that, and help anybody they can. And that's even with all these stupid rules they got out. Now, the strongest solar storm in nearly 6 years slammed to the earth, catching forecasters by surprise. I understand that up north the skies is spectacular, and that's good. I wish I could have seen it. Now, Congresswoman Green and Democrats offered tale of the two jails after they visit the jail in Washington, D.C. Congressman Green's take on this, that they've been treated harshly, perhaps 1 hour a day to get out. And Democrats, of course, they're going to take the Democratic side because that would tarnish Nancy Pelosi's reputation. But no, not all those people are a threat in terms of hurting other people, in terms of they're not flight risk. Most of them don't even have passports. Um, but these things should have been looked differently. Obviously, if you broke windows, damaged doors to get in the building, that's a very high crime. If you went into a congressman or congresswoman's office or senator's and sit at his desk and play with his laptop, yes, you need to serve some time, but you don't need to have your life destroyed. And people, when you get a crowd together, you have a different mentality. You have personalities that people never had before. And but to keep people in jail, I mean, think about it. You're in there 2 years, then you're found not guilty. How do you give someone back 2 years of their life? On top of that, you spent $40,000 feeding them, clothing them, another $10,000, $15,000 prosecuting them for a crime that should have been issued. They have been released on their own recognizance. And don't forget, when a person has got a trial pending, that weighs heavy on their mind 24/7. So don't tell me. And if you got a lawyer, and you're going to get a lawyer when you got possibly going to jail for 5, 10, 20 years, when you get done paying that bill, you did not get off scot-free. I repeat, you did not get off scot-free. And this is the Democrats just trying to dampen down any more protests. And I agree, protests should be peaceful, and no one had the right to breach that Capitol or any other federal building, whether it's in the state of Washington, Oregon, or any building. Now, another thing that's really saddened, I'm no fan of this prosecutor, Bragg. I mean, he's just a political hack taking advantage of his office, and I certainly look forward to when Trump sues him for prosecutorial misconduct. Can't say it quite right. And I believe that can happen if he's disbarred. But someone sent powder to him. Thank God it was not poisonous, but that means you have to clear the office out, get the bomb expert people and chemicals expert in there. And this, my opinion, along with many other conservative talk hosts, no one has the right to do violence because you don't agree with somebody, his action or opinion. Violence can only be done to defend yourself, your family, your property. And think about the innocent people. How about the office boy in there? Maybe he don't know a Democrat from a Republican. Um, Secretaries, innocent people. So this person needs to be accountable. And don't forget, this could very well be Brad's a supporter, trying to get sympathy for him because he's going down the tubes pretty quick. I mean, he's obviously made promises that he would prosecute a man before he even knew anything about a crime. They do that in Russia and other dictator. Just show me the man, I'll find you the crime. And like the Bible says, who is without sin? Now, voters is losing trust in the experts like the COVID experts. I guess they are. I mean, every day they had a different opinion. They come out, both guns blazing before they really had their ducks lined up. And then once they made a misstatement, they doubled down and taking people's freedom away. And even when you had other scientists, annoyingly smart people, um, they close them down on social media. This is not the way we do things in America, and that's why people are doubting it. What I think should have been done is prove what the president done and tell the people the truth. Everybody understood that this disease was involving the federal government under Trump was doing the best they could to get a handle on it. And they had to do a lot of guessing, but just tell people. And, so 2 days later, if more facts come out, you can tell them, you can update it, and people would have a little more confidence in you. Truth is the best way to handle the American people. The American people, when we have a crisis, we speak as one, and they will make good decisions, whether it be keeping your distance, exercising a little more. If you don't want to take the shot, for me, what I did was I went ahead and listened to the news and what some of the options were. I think it was Sean Hannity. And for example, I started taking vitamin C, D, E, I think B12, zinc, and exercise a little more to get myself in a little better shape. Whether that's the right treatment for everybody or anybody else, I don't know. But that's what I personally did. Now, here we go. Let's go back into war. China threatens consequences over one of our warships going around the island. And China should be mindful of these threats. There's no saying, watch what you wish for. Now, Joe Biden, as a president, a commander-in-chief, is weak. He's not really in tune to the situation. And probably there's a lot of people that believe that President Obama's pulling the strings or somebody else. But believe me, the Democratic Party will go to war with anybody if it will keep in power and the voters start indicating that's what they want. So all these threats is serving no one. We don't need another World War III or a World War III. Just think of, like I say, I keep saying, 19 million died in the First World War, 55 million died in the Second World. That's just a 20-year span. So if you extend that out 70 years on that trajectory, we're talking about 1.5 billion. That's 150, more than that is a billion, would be 1,000 million, but it's not worth thinking about. It is worth thinking about, and it's not worth making threats. I'd like to remind you to go back to my blog site, cowboyron.com, and we got about 20-some different categories on there. Some of the ones you might like is speeches that still make my day. My favorite heroes, Happy Trails of the West, which is also now on rodeo country radio station, Snowflake Taylor, Arizona. That's 90.1 on the FM dial. Other things we have, Happy Trails of the West. And generally, these are places that me and my wife have personally visited. It can be Fort Davis, Texas, where the Buffalo Soldiers were born. Big Bend, Texas, where I've seen a house made out of sticks and mud. Man lived there 50, 60 years and died in 1942. The Alamo, John Wayne's Alamo, Virginia City, Judge Isaac Parker's courthouse, Judge Roy Bean's courthouse. So I like to get out and I like to share this with you. And don't forget, stay with me on this YouTube. Now, I'm going to start trying to get a broadcast out every night or at least every couple of days. But I just don't want to start putting news out here just for the sake of doing it. Let's find something interesting to talk about. So see you next time. Cowboy Ron saying so long. Please come back and have a nice weekend.